Hello, everybody. I've been away. I was in trial, so I'm back now. And I missed the live of the Kohberger hearing in front of the new judge, but I did get a chance to see it. And, I wanted to make some comments on it. I did feel that it was a new vibe, and it just may be the difference between a small town and a bigger city. And I'm glad, that the judge set forth what his expectations were. And I'm glad that the judge said that will be ruling on motions a lot faster. Because that was one of the things that Judge had difficulty with. And it's probably because of, the time constraints and the fact that he had other cases. So those are good things. And the judge also made a comment about the gag order, and he included the victims in it, the families of victims. And that's a new one because I thought that the original order did not include family members, only the attorneys involved in the case, but I could be wrong. So that was interesting. And then the passing away of one of the experts was also interesting. And it was a mitigation expert. So the expert is one of the experts that's going to testify if Brian Kohberger is found guilty. Then they go to the mitigation phase, where the mitigation experts they compile research on the defendant, on Brian Kohberger, and they talk about things like if he had any abuse in his background, and I'm not saying that Brian Kohberger did, I'm just saying that those are the things that mitigation experts would talk about, like if he had a head injury, if he had any problems growing up, things that might come into play as to why this crime happened. But that's if he's found guilty, and that's after, in the mitigation phase of the trial. So it looks like the hearings on the death penalty are still going to go forward. And in terms of the mitigation expert, I know that Ann Taylor was saying that it was going to be hard for the mitigation expert to complete her work for a May trial date. She asked for September for the trial date. And I think the judge was puzzled by that. And I don't know. I mean, I know generally what's involved in what a mitigation expert does. I don't know if what Ann Taylor was saying, if what she was saying, she couldn't say more because of, she would be divulging information that's not discoverable at this time. And so the judge was going to talk to her privately about that. So that was interesting. But the one thing that I did find the most interesting is that the judge asked about whether the prosecution had complied with the deadlines regarding discovery. And he seemed to know that something about 300 and some gigabytes had been produced. So he seemed interested in finding out. And I just wanted to play that clip, short clip, because it was very interesting. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, so here we are, and I'm going to play this clip. It's when the judge asks about the discovery deadline for the prosecution.
I think the state's deadline for discovery has passed. Has the state complied with its discovery obligations, including those outlined in judge's last order and other orders?
We have, Your Honor, and in fact, Ms. Jennings prepared a lengthy discovery that was filed with the Latah County Court when our discovery deadline hit. It is lengthy, but there's a lot of discovery.
Sure.
We recognize that.
How much of the, what did you say, 300 gigabytes?
398 since August 13th.
How much of that is new information?
Now that's a very good question. So he already knew that there was some 300 gigabytes, and he's asking how much of that is new information. So those are all good questions, and I like that he's asking about that.
Ms. Jennings could speak to that.
Ms. Jennings, can you speak to that?
Look at the look she gives him. Oh my goodness. I don't know about you guys, but that look looks like, are you serious? You want me to address this now? Because she didn't stand up right away. The judge had to say, or had to ask, Ms. Jennings, can you address that? And she's just looking at him like, and Bill is like, what? It just looks, I don't know, maybe I'm making too much of it. But that look, I don't know. Seems like she doesn't know, and we'll find out right now. I'm sure you guys have seen it, but there we go.
Your Honor, the defense was given, and I'm not sure if this is what they're referencing, but they were given a copy of the OneDrive from the FBI. Most of that was cumulative discovery that they had already received in another fashion. I'm sure there were portions of it that was new information. I've not calculated how much of that was new. So I can only rely on Ms. Taylor's, what she's represented to the court on that.
Well, I don't think she knows because it doesn't sound like she's looked at it yet.
All of it, Judge.
All right.
Wow. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share, because, you know, the prosecution produced the discovery, yet they don't know exactly what they produced and what was duplicated, and they're actually telling the judge, we're going to rely, well, you can rely on what Ann Taylor says. Well, Ann Taylor's been filing all these motions to compel. So to put it on Ann Taylor to represent to the court what the prosecution has produced is I've never heard of that. I mean, the prosecution should know what they produced. I mean, this is just, I guess they weren't expecting that question from the judge at this hearing. But it's certainly strange that Ashley Jennings said, you know, I don't know how much of it was repeat or cumulative, meaning it's already been produced in a different format. And Ann Taylor's like, well, I haven't looked at it all. And so again, it almost seems they're just giving a whole bunch of information to Ann Taylor, and she's having to sift through it and go through it. And I'm just confused. I mean, either they have something on Brian Kohberger or they don't. And I can only assume at this point that maybe what they have is under seal. But it just is, the discovery is just getting a little out of hand. It makes me nervous. I mean, if they don't know what's being produced back and forth, and you know, I couldn't work like that. I mean, I would need more organization. And Ann Taylor also discussed that she's calling 24 experts or something like that. That's a lot of experts. You know I've done birth injury cases where a child is born, they have brain damage, and it's as a result of not doing a C-section in time, things of that nature. And in those cases, you have a lot of experts because the baby, you know, that there's a lot of medical damages that have to be proven. It's more so the damages than the liability. So I have done those cases, and the most I've ever had was 18 experts on each side. And it was an arbitration, which is a little bit different than a trial. But to have 24 experts on the defendant's side is a lot. I'm just wondering if they're even going to be able to complete the trial in the time frame. I think they said 3 months or something. I'm wondering if they're going to be able to complete it in that time frame with 24 experts. I mean, I'm kind of puzzled by how many experts the defense is going to have. I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard anything about the prosecution's experts. I mean, at the hearings, they haven't produced any experts. So this is going to be an interesting case for sure, and I'm learning a lot. I hope you guys are too. And I'm going to go back and look, now that I have time, I'm going to go back and look and see what the status is on the IgG DNA discovery, because the judge ordered some of it to be produced. There was a production, but then I believe Ann Taylor was asking for more because what was produced wasn't enough in terms of what the judge ordered. So I don't know what the status is of that. And I may have missed it. But that's the thing. I mean, normally you can keep track of these things because the judge issues an order and they comply with the order, and there's a order on the motion to compel. And I know the judge did give an order on that IgG DNA information, but I don't know if the state only gave part of what was ordered. It's all very confusing, but I'm going to go back and look. And if I see something, I'll bring it up in a video. But this is going to be an interesting case. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next time.